Sorry, that's all. The first 2 minutes of these are always a little bit scrambly, but hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to another Malwarebytes Live. And we are continuing our great subject, well, great subject, scary, but great subject on scams. We started that a little bit a few weeks ago, and we're going to continue today. My name is Tjitske de Vries. I'm the community content manager for Malwarebytes. And today we have an amazing guest. I'm very excited to welcome Renata Salvini from GASA, the Global Anti-Scam Alliance, which is a coalition working across sectors to stop scams, strengthen collaboration, and keep people safer online. Welcome, Renata.
Hi, thank you. So happy to be here.
I'm very excited that you're here. I mean, this is a conversation. Scams, it's a conversation that we can have another, I think, 20, 30 Malwarebytes lives about. But I'm very happy that you're here. We're going to dive a little bit into your background, who you are, what GASA does, the importance of these types of coalitions, and a little bit about your view on the future of scams and how to tackle them. So I kind of wanted to start a little bit about who is Renata and how did you get into this exciting world of scams?
Yes, it is an exciting world. And my journey here, it's not, I think, the most common one.
Hmm.
So I've been a program manager for over 20 years. I worked in consulting firm before, and I worked with innovation and entrepreneurship for many, many years.
Hmm.
And one thing that I learned from working with entrepreneurs and startups is that you need to find a big problem to solve in order to succeed as a
Yeah.
startup.
Hmm.
So a good friend of mine told me, Renata, I have a position that I think it's made for you, like a job role, perfect. And I was like, what? I was like about to leave to the airport in 30 minutes for a vacation. And she said, you need to send me your resume right now. I sent her, she forwarded. Once I'm back, once I was back, Yuri, the manager of GASA, reached out and we got to talk.
Hmm.
And I told him, so I'm not a specialist. I'm not a cybersecurity specialist. I don't come from the background in finance or telco or anything. What I know about scams are as a consumer. Don't
Hmm.
click, don't interact. And with my background, I was like, but scams is such a huge problem. If I can help move the needle just a little bit towards prevention, I'm super happy. And I've always been a person who executes. Give me a
Yeah.
mission. I'm oriented. And then here I am at CASA and very pleased. And all I've been doing for the past 10 months since I joined is reading about scams. And the interact, like don't call, don't reach out, don't answer, blah, 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 is such a just the tip of the
Yeah.
iceberg, has so much more underneath. And I'm very excited to join this fight.
I find that background story so interesting because it's a story that we hear a lot in cybersecurity, right? Even in our previous sessions, people come to Malwarebytes, for instance, and they come from very diverse backgrounds. We've got historians, we've got physiotherapists, we've got people from all sorts of life, right? But indeed, having that kind of diverse background makes you look at things, makes you look at security and privacy from a totally different perspective. And I think that's what we need. We need these different perspectives, which leads me, of course, to GASA as well. We need these different perspectives, different backgrounds to look at scams in the way and see how different people see these scams, experience these scams, and deal with these scams. So that's why I find, and we're part of GASA as well. I'm very excited that we are, as Malwarebytes, part of GASA. Um, so for people who don't really know GASA very well yet, can you describe what it does, the importance of a coalition like this, and kind of what your role would be in this whole landscape of GASA?
Yeah. So GASA stands for Global Anti-Scam Alliance. We are a non-profit based in the Netherlands. And our mission, and this is the part that I love the most, is to protect consumers worldwide from the
Hmm.
traumas of the financial and emotional traumas caused by scams. So if you consider that someone loses, I don't know, maybe $100, you say, oh, it doesn't have a lot of emotional trauma, but there are people that lose 100,000, a million. So it comes with a baggage.
Yeah.
And what we do is we bring together all stakeholders, and just like you mentioned, different backgrounds.
Hmm.
We put together everyone like government, law enforcement, tech companies, telco, banks, cybersecurity organizations.
Hmm.
We have over 120 members worldwide, such as Malwarebytes, and try to coordinate action against scams.
Yeah.
We have four pillars. One is knowledge sharing, like we have webinars, best practice blog. I forgot to say, I'm from Brazil, so this is why I might say something like mistakenly grammarly in English.
It's fine.
um, so perfect,
I do the
right?
same.
Yeah. We have working groups. So these are global
Hmm.
connections, people looking at problems in different ways and how to fight scams. One of our big pillars is networking. So we
Yeah.
hold three global anti-scam summits, one in Europe, one in America, and one in Asia. The next one will be now in San Francisco in September, and it's like over 600 people. It's an amazing opportunity to exchange, to share. Besides that, we have research. We
Hmm.
do research with almost in over 40 countries, almost 60,000 consumers asking how they have interacted with scams. Have
Hmm.
they encountered a scam? Have they interacted? Have they lost money, recover money? How they were approached? Did they report? So the whole kind of like scam journey. And we launched the reports by country. I just launched the Brazilian one the beginning of the month, which, like you said, is a big problem and horrific numbers.
Yeah.
um, Besides that, and we will have the global state of scam in November. So then we do like a group version considering all the countries. And we work towards solutions.
Hmm.
We have scam.org, which Malwarebytes is also a partner, in which the consumer can check, can learn about scam, can find tools to protect themselves, how to report, and in each country is different. So it's AI powered hub, and you can ask question about your country in your language. We also have Spot Scam, which is to teach. It's kind of like the Duolingo, but for combating scams. So in fun
Love it.
way people can yeah, fun, because talking about scams not usually fun, but yes, it's in a fun way to learn about scam, the signs, the patterns, and maybe if you face a situation in a learning environment, when you actually face the situation in the real world, you will be prepared.
Yeah.
And no, no, and I was gonna say, and about my role, so we also have chapters. I'm leading the Brazilian chapter for GASA. We also have in Mexico, in the United States,
Hmm.
Africa, Asia, and Europe. And we know that scam is a global problem, but we
Hmm.
do have specifically needs in regions. So that's why GASA has some chapters in some countries, and I'm leading the Brazilian chapter.
Yeah, and I love that whole the spot scan that you mentioned because indeed, yeah, it looks great. Like first of all, I think in a lot of these cases, like we do need a sort of gamification of knowledge because this is how a lot of people learn these days. Like, and if it's, I mean, I'm on Duolingo as well, and even if it's like 5 or 10 minutes every day, like you get a little bit of information and that helps you, especially in the spot scam part, it helps you fight against, scams. And I always compare it to kind of like a defense class, like a personal defense class. You kind of have some kind of a muscle memory that, like, of course, like when it actually happens in real life, you never know, how you're going to react, but the chances are high that you will pause and that you will look into it and that you will actually check it. So that's why I love the spot scam. Like I think it's a very great idea. You were talking a little bit about the reports that you released and that you released the state of scams Brazil recently. Um, I had a look as well, and I'm gonna drop it in the description as well after this because I think it's a very interesting, like very interesting, a little bit scary, but very interesting report. When we look at that report, like what were some numbers that you were either very surprised by or just where you were just like flabbergasted? What are some numbers and where do you think the numbers come from?
So the number that shocked me the most is the amount of people who have been scammed more than once
Hmm.
in the past 12 months. So in Brazil, 34% were scammed at least twice, but
Well,
2% were scammed in 12 months, over 5 times. I cannot even imagine how
hmm
this works because it's too much. The other thing that impressed me is the amount of attempts Brazilians face. So it's 202 attempts per person per year. So you will face and encounter a scam, and how you act when you see the scam is very important. The thing that also not shocked, but last year's report, it was 252 attempts per person per year, and then you say, oh, but scams are decreasing.
hmm
And we have a chapter meeting with our members here in Brazil, and we were discussing, and they were like, we don't think scams are decreasing. What we think is they are more targeted now.
Yeah.
So instead of sending just like a mass mail or like hundreds of thousands of
hmm
messages with AI, they are targeting and doing more personalized approach. So yeah, this is very scary.
And they are so frighteningly real these days with AI, right? Like in our report face value about the kind of like the supercharging of scams by AI is like, the whole classic, oh, just look at the typos, oh, just look at the logo is wrong, or like I recently, and I was shocked myself, I recently I was called by my bank, which was not my bank, and I was surprised by, like, I caught it quite quickly, but I kind of wanted to know, what their strategy was. And I was surprised by how real even the AI voice was. It was like a German accent. It was quote unquote warm, friendly. Um, and I think for us, like we deal with this every single day, right? We look at these things every single day. We read about it, we hear about it, and still that there's still that moment for even for us that we're like, is this real? Is this
Real.
is this real? So I understand if you have 200 attempts every year and like you have to kind of wade through it and it's incredible how people deal with this kinds of stuff. And I think like you're talking about it's a reduction in scams, but it's still 200 attempts that are coming through.
Yeah.
Um, State Scam Brazil is, by the way, also readable in English version, so I'll add that to the description here.
Thank you.
Um, and so GASA, right, like coalition of lots of different backgrounds. Like, what does each group kind of bring to the table? What does a government side bring to the table? What does a vendor like Malwarebytes bring to the table to create these kinds of like the four pillars that you talked about earlier?
Yeah, so what we believe is no sector can see the scam journey, right?
Mm,
So the scam might start in a telephone call or a fraudulent advertisement or text message or email
hmm
message, move to a conversation app, and then finally end up in the financial sector
Hmm.
with a bank transfer. So we don't,
Hmm.
anyone sees the whole thing.
Yeah.
What we think is government will bring the policy, the
Hmm.
regulation, what can be done, a coordination. Law enforcement can bring investigation, intelligence,
Hmm.
prosecution. We need to send a clear message to scammers. It's not okay.
Hmm.
We will find you. It's not a, how do you say, it's not a crime that should go unpunished, right?
Yeah.
So we need the law enforcement perspective. And vendors and private sectors, and then I will include everyone in this bucket. So banks, telcos, tech, cybersecurity companies, they have real access to the information. So
Yeah.
it's where, and you have the technical capabilities and you have the detection system. So you can help introduce friction, block fraudulent activity at
Hmm.
scale. So it's a combined effort of all sectors together to fight the scammers.
And so with so many kind of people at the table with so many different opinions and different backgrounds, like what does success look like for you as an
Hmm.
organization like that?
Yeah, for me, I would love to say, oh, let's eliminate scams
Hmm.
altogether and not have to face this issue again. But even though I'm a very enthusiastic person, I know that's not real. We
Yeah.
didn't stop crime altogether.
Hmm.
It's something that we have to deal with. But if we can make scams harder to execute,
Yeah.
harder to scale, less profitable,
Hmm.
easier to detect, or even less harmful to people and to society, because the amount of money lost.
Yeah.
So in Brazil, as in dollars, is about $5 billion in Brazil, and the global state of scam last year reported 442 billion dollars lost worldwide to scams. So this is money that's being drained from the economy,
Hmm.
and yes, going to scammers.
And that's the
So I
thing.
would say if we can make it harder for them, we will start to succeed.
That friction that you were talking about. Yeah, definitely. And these numbers are massive, right? The 442 billion, it's incredible. Like we can't even grasp how big that is. And it starts, we do see the news and the blogs about the big scams, etc. And but we do need to really focus on the fact that like this happens to everyone, right? And like in a lot of the cases, because even in the state of scam report in Brazil, like the number of cases that are actually reported is incredibly low. So what we know,
4%.
4%, that's what we know. So that number could be even, well, will be even bigger than we expect because, and this is something that we talk about a lot in this case, is like there's still that big part of shame in it, right? Like,
Exactly.
um, I'm so embarrassed that this has happened to me. Like we've talked about romance scams before. I'm so embarrassed. Like I'm a I'm a smart person. Why did I let that happen to me? So that little part of reporting, you said 4% actually gets reported, and where do they report to? And do you have an idea of how to increase that?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. So 42% report to the banking system,
Hmm.
the financial system, but 30% report to family and friends.
Yeah.
What can family and friends do to help you? Of course, we do need to talk about
Yeah.
scams.
Yeah.
Depending
Absolutely.
on the case of the scam that you faced, you need to talk even for support
Yeah.
because you have emotions that you need to deal with.
Hmm.
But like to report to friends and families doesn't get any help, you
Hmm.
know? So to increase that number, what I truly believe is we need to make talking about scam, like I said, I shouldn't be embarrassed
No.
because if you were mugged or your house
Hmm.
was robbed, you will tell your friends and you will report and you will talk about it.
Absolutely.
But when when the crime is a scam, people really
Hmm.
feel very embarrassed and ashamed, and we need to make it no. Oh, it's so weird to say normal the conversation because I don't want to make scams normal, you
Hmm.
know. But we need to be able to talk about what happened and not to feel ashamed about it.
That's exactly it. And what we're doing with scam.org and ScamGuard is removing part of the threshold as well, right? Like, I mean, you don't, that first step can be the most difficult part. And
Yeah.
just having a program, a non-personal program where you can just put in what happened and you get the steps that you need
Mm-hmm.
to to go
To guide you.
to guide you. I think that is so important because in a lot of cases, like, and you're talking about like ordinary crime, even for ordinary crime, it's already difficult to know the right instances to go to get the support that you need. And then I think when it comes to scams, that is even like a whole different world. So I think having reducing these thresholds is so important when it comes to like scam awareness and scam protection and what happens, what to do when you are scammed. And I think that kind of part, that last part, is like in if you would talk to somebody right now, either at a webinar or in real life, what do you advise a person who has been scammed to do when they have been scammed? And like, what are the top, the first two, three steps that you would advise them?
Yeah, so I lead the working group for the consumer education and awareness. And the good thing is that we are just about to launch a paper on what to do after
Right.
you've been scammed. And the first thing we tell them is to stop communication with the
Mm-hmm.
scammers. Like, you will not get your money back.
No.
So just stop communication. Of course, then contact your bank and see if it's possible to stop future payments or plan
Mm-hmm.
payments, or depending on where you are. So in Brazil, we have something called, it's a tool that was developed by the central bank, which is called MED, the special mechanism of reimbursement. So if
Mm-hmm.
you've been scammed, you can go into your bank app and say, I you can press this button and report it. So the
Yeah.
bank A will talk to bank B and then try to freeze the funds. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, I know since everything is instant payments, once the money is in another account, scammers transfer the money very quickly. So
Yeah.
it's not guaranteed, but yes, you need to contact your bank. Then you need to report the scam. And when I joined GASA, one of them, our members here in Brazil, is a prosecutor, and he was saying the importance of reporting. So
Mm-hmm.
it has a lot to do with statistics as well, because if the
Yeah.
crime, if the city you lived in or has more crimes on the streets, like people are getting their cell
Yeah.
phone mugged or they're being stabbed, I don't know, you need to put officers out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Police officers. But if it's coming now in the digital world, it's not just taking that police officer out of the street and put it in behind a desk, because it's a total different knowledge and
Yeah.
tools and resources that are needed. So we need to know how the crimes are really going on in the countries. So we need to report the scam in much detail as possible so they can try to investigate what happened. Then you change your passwords for safety. You don't know what was compromised. And last but not least, of course, we recommend talking to someone you trust for support, for guidance. It's a
Yeah.
set fresh of pair of eyes. So yes, you do need to talk, but not on the report sense that I will report to my friends because they can't do anything. So
Mm-hmm.
go to the police, go to the authorities.
I think that's such an interesting one, the because that is even not something that I have thought about a lot. Like, if we don't have the right statistics, we don't have the resources in place, we don't have the focus in place. So the resources are going to somewhere. Yeah, I mean, the crime on the streets is also important, but that massive part of online scams doesn't get the
Yeah.
resources or the funding that it needs. That's a very so everyone who does get scammed, report it. That's a very interesting one. Thank you for sharing that. I kind of wanted to talk.
And I'm sorry to cut you, but even in this in this line, so sometimes a scam is happen in one city or in one state, and something else the same happens in another.
Mm.
And because of the boundaries of the police, they will only research and
Haha.
not research, investigate in their city or in that
Mm-hmm.
state. But once they can go an extra level and see maybe nationwide, they can see that something is happening across states.
Yeah.
So that's why even little scams should be reported.
Yeah, and every scam matters. Like, I mean, if a billionaire is being scammed for 20 million, it's a lot. But the ordinary person who may have 200 euro at the end of the month, then 100 euro, 200 euro is a lot of money. So I think that the focus
Mhm.
all also needs to go to there, just like we have with like ransomware, for instance. We hear the ransomware attacks on the bigger companies, and it's the 200 million this and the 200 million that. But there's also these types of attacks also happen to the ordinary person. And for that
Exactly.
person, the hurt is equal or probably even more than the hurt,
More.
yeah, to the company. So I think focusing on that consumer part is so important. I kind of want to end a little bit with like you've been here for 10 months in Gaza. Um, what gives you the most optimism about this type of anti-scam initiatives in the future? Like, what is your vision on that?
Yeah, I think it's Gaza's logo. It takes a network to defeat a network.
Yeah.
It's what drives me today. So we understand that scams are not isolated incidents anymore. They are global
Mm,
problem which needs global solutions
yeah.
and collective solutions. So we need to defeat this network. It's the good network versus the bad network, and I'm happy to be joining the first.
Yeah.
And what really drives me is to see that we have a lot of organizations and governments already joining Gaza
Hmm.
in this fight. And every day it gives me even more hope that so many people is engaged and it's fighting scams and new organizations are joining this coalition, this movement. And this is why I wake up every day very excited. No, not excited because it's a problem. But yes, to see how we can collectively collaborate fighting scams.
And you do wake up excited because you have a mission, right? Like, and that's, when you're in this side of on this side of on the light side and not on the dark side, like you have a mission and you have an important job to do. So I get your excitement. It's exactly like my brain also works overtime. And how do we communicate as effectively as possible? How do we use, as you say, the power of community, the sharing of knowledge, the sharing of hurt, the sharing of that kind of stuff? How do we use that power of community to fight the dark side? We don't have any
Exactly.
lightsabers, so we need to need to do it in a
It would be
different way.
cool.
That would be very cool. I kind of wanted to finish on that positive note. Thank you so much for coming. I think, I'm very excited for this, that we are in this coalition and that we can be part of like this global scam battle. And I think together we can really make a difference.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Renata. Do you have any final thoughts? Any
Yeah,
financing.
I just think we all need to, like I said, it takes a network. So
Yeah,
we need to collaborate. We need to work together to fight the scammers. It's not, there's no silver bullet. I know it's a cliche. And we need to ultimately understand that behind every scam or behind an Excel spreadsheet or an amount loss, there is a person out there. So
yeah.
something happened to this person. We need to have empathy. Um, and yes, I think we need to have empathy towards victims.
We need more empathy in the world in general, I think. So I think that's a great final thought. I'm going to finish on that. Thank you so much, Renata, for coming. Um, so read the report. I'll drop it into the description. If you can read Brazilian Portuguese, that's great. If you can read English, it will also be in English. So don't worry about that. Try out scam.org and, of course, our own scam guard as well. If you would like to know more about scams, sign up for the Spot Scam. It's a lot of fun. If you can handle Duolingo every day, you can handle that every day. We will continue these conversations, of course, in the future. We have another next week. We have a Malwarebytes live with our own Stefan Dasic about phishing scams, where we dive into what is a phishing scam, what does it look like, and what you can do about it. So very simple steps to spot it. Um, and yeah, obrigada, Renata. And we will hopefully see you back in the future when the global scam report, state of scam report comes out. We'd love you have to have you on. And
Sure.
for everyone else who's watching, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, come to us or to GASA, of course. Um, and we'll see you next week.